Thanks, Paul Callaghan. So what I think we need to know from water, it's so magical. We are water, right? And just to imagine that the water that flows through us, that the oldest water in our bodies is 4 days old, and so we refresh continuously, and uh, yet that water is there also millions of years at the same time. So it's constantly fresh and so informed and ancient as well at the same time. And that can comprise us and all around the world. I find it's quite magical to be so immersed in water, in being water. And then maybe more as a what we also should know about the current state, actually, is just one glimpse, right? Because there's so many statistics that we could share, and that's why this series is also useful to learn much more that we don't know. That every 1.6 seconds, a new unknown substance enters our living environment that we don't know what the consequences are. I've heard this from ecotoxologists, and that's alarming. We won't have the capacity to control all of that, so we have to have clear rules, but also clear intentions. That we say we don't want this anymore. We don't want PFAS and plastic in our bodies, in our blood, as an example. Well, one thing that I was sharing, that water is there constantly flowing everywhere, that this pattern of water is everywhere around the world, like it is within our lungs and in our blood and in our brains. This pattern, that's zoomed in, if we zoom out, then we have all these river systems, both in the ground, in the plants, and on the surface. And so we call these watershed. It's the journey of the meltwater and the droplets going towards the mouth, the shared mouth into the sea, or as to a confluence. And so we are part of these watersheds. And then to imagine that when we are part of it, we know that we are also dependent on them, and that makes also a basis that we are responsible for them. So how we participate is up to us. And then to imagine that not so long ago, almost all rivers around the world and all these watersheds had healthy water that was so in balance that we could drink straight from them. And now to realize that almost none of that water is healthy and in balance and drinkable. And so I think that this compass of a drinkable river can help us to navigate all around the world how to participate within these watersheds. And so that is how I hope that people see themselves and see water as well, so that you can question yourself, how am I eating? How does my diet contribute to how water is doing? Because how water is doing, it shows us how we are doing. If we take care of what takes care of us, the world would look very different. And also not only what we eat, but also how we clean and how we garden, for instance. So we have many moments while we are interacting that all have an effect on water. And so to ask ourselves, what can we do? How can we affect? What kind of effect can we have? And how can the drinkable river help me in those actions? Is what I hope that others see their participation within the water systems. Then, what gives me hope? Well, the fact that we, on an evolutionary time scale, are a very young species gives me hope, so that we can learn to align much more in how life works and align our lives to that. at the moment, I think we are much more aligning to, for instance, how do we get out of an economic crisis that was the case after the world wars. And so we are striving for economic growth in order to get out of that time. And now we have another time, and I think we are ready for another kind of compass than only economic growth. I hope that the drinkable river could become our base for a healthy economy. And so, but it gives me hope that we can learn and that we have the pragmatic mindset that once we know what works, that we will adapt to it. And so it's not only an ideological or a romantic view, it's already a reality for many of the plants and animal species currently, but we are noticing it ourselves as well, how the current state affects us. So I hope that we realize that, and that then we see how step by step we can contribute with our daily life actions and towards this ecologically healthy rivers and water system. Then I would love to pass the glass to a wonderful Tracy Metz. And she's a water journalist and making podcast. And she's able, if we think about rippling into the world, is like, for instance, my work doing river walks, and I speak from heart to heart, meeting small groups of people. But I have had the privilege to meet along my river walks so many journalists and filmmakers and artists who make the ripples larger into the world, so that more and more people of our river families also feel the urgency and the love for what water means. Tracy, I pass it to you.